What's up, everybody? Last week we got Season 4 of Black Ops 6 in Warzone, so of course we're updating the meta. We're updating the meta as they change. We did long range a couple days ago. We did short range yesterday. Today we are talking sniper supports. Now the snipers didn't change. HGR is still the #1 sniper. CAR is still the best aggressive sniper. But the sniper support meta is a little bit different, so that's what we are talking about today. Before I get into that, I will link those other two videos down below. I'll also have my Twitch link down below if you want to come watch me play Warzone or Apex or other games live, or you just want to tell me live how dumb my loadouts are. Twitch is linked down below, as well as all my other social medias and my single player channel if you want to support me anywhere else. Any support anywhere is definitely appreciated. And on top of that, just like we always do, we're going to go from loadouts to true game data, and true game data will be linked down below if you want to go compare loadouts for yourself. Support Tony, even if it's just visiting the website. More website visits mean more ad revenue, and what Tony at True Game Data does is wonderful for our community. And of course, his the staff he does have. True Game Data does wonderful things for our community. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the loadouts. All right, so we have two categories of sniper supports. We have SMG sniper supports that you're going to pair with like the CAR or the HDR. If you're going to be really aggressive with HDR, so more with the CAR. But if you're being more aggressive and you're sniping, you might want to go with an SMG sniper support, or maybe you just don't like running AR sniper support. We're going to do SMGs first, then we're going to do ARs. So starting off at number 3, we have the Ladra. Now, these sniper supports for SMGs were chosen a mix of TTK plus the damage range. Like the KSV, I think, has the best damage range of the SMGs, except maybe the LC-10, but it's not on this list because the TTK just doesn't stand up. So, or the TTK might be really fast like the Compact, which isn't on this list, but the range doesn't really stand up to other SMGs. So unlike close range, just regular close range, where TTK and ability to shoot it well are the most important factors, range also matters here, especially for SMGs. So the Ladra's got good range. It's got a good TTK. And I'm a fan of the Ladra. So we have the Kepler Microflex, the monolithic suppressor, the long barrel. Now, where the differences are between normal SMG builds and a sniper support build here are we have the monolithic suppressor because we're pushing out that damage range and that bullet velocity to help match with the ARs that are on this list, as well as ARs in general, because especially if you're running HDR, you might not want to pull out your HDR at 20 meters, you know? Might want to pull out your sniper support. So because we're doing sniper supports and not just purely close range, we built them a little bit different. So we have the monolithic suppressor instead of the compensator. We have the long barrel to push out that damage range further instead of the reinforced barrel. We have vertical foregrip instead of ranger or G grip because the vertical foregrip will give us more recoil control. And SMGs can get shaky as they get pushed out into range, where ARs don't quite get that same shakiness. So we are getting a little more recoil control with that vertical foregrip. Then we have extended mag 2, especially on the Ladra. It is an ammo burner. Commando grip to help with the ADS and the sprint to fire. It's hard to choose between one, so I like to help both. No stock for the greatest movement speed bonus, and no laser, and then recoil springs because once again it does get shaky. Now, if you don't feel like it's too shaky, I go with the overpressured rounds here. That's fine. And you can go Ranger foregrip, or you could go G grip if you wanted. But because we're trying to shoot this further, I like vertical foregrip. Give me a little more recoil control, especially on the Ladra with its fast fire rate, where the higher the fire rate, the more intense recoil can feel. And if you're going down to 5 attachments, I would remove the nose stock, the rear grip, and I guess recoil springs like normal. I normally would remove an optic on an SMG, but because we're shooting further, I want as clean a vision as possible. And I don't know about you, but at least with me, I struggle with iron sights often, and honestly, one times on long range because I'm just blind. Show the eye doctor. Then at number 2, we have the C9. So where there's a big difference here is the ranking has changed on my SMGs. If you haven't watched it, I had the Ladra at number 2. And the C9 at number 3, but here they switch, and even though the Ladra's got a slightly better time to kill, why they switch is the C9 is easier to shoot than the Ladra, and it's not really close, so when you're pushing out that range that you're trying to hit targets at, the easier to shoot, the better, and the TTKs are close enough that is the big deciding factor here. And so we have the exact same build we just talked about. It's easier to shoot, so I definitely would not recommend going the compensator. this makes more sense to go over pressured here. Because it is easier to shoot. So if you want to take off the recoil springs, go over pressured. But because we want the SMG to slightly bleed into the closer AR territory, I do want to go recoil springs instead of the bullet velocity. The bullet velocity is nice because you don't have to lead the shots as much, but the extra recoil when you're trying to shoot beyond SMG range, it's nice to have the extra recoil control. So then moving on to number 1, we have the LC-10. The LC-10's got great damage range. It has the best up-close TTK right now. There's not really much else to be said about it. The build is the exact same builds we just talked about. Once again, with the C9, this is so easy to shoot. You can go over pressured instead of recoil springs. And just like with both guns, I would remove the recoil springs, the nose stock, and the commando grip, and leave everything else for the exact same reasons. But the LC-10 is your best SMG sniper support. So then we're moving on to ARs, and this is an AR that people forget about often, and that's the AS Val. Now, it was going to be the AS Val or the Kilo here, but I had the AS Val slightly beating out the Kilo. But you could put the Kilo here, and the Kilo build would be the exact same build as we'll see on the next 2 AR sniper supports. The big issue with the AS Val is the extended mag 3 is only 55 rounds, and it is an ammo burner, so it is more suited for solos and duos, and that's why I considered putting the Kilo above it. But the TTK is better. The damage range is fine. And it's actually pretty easy to shoot. You burn through ammo, but there's very low recoil. But you could have put the Kilo here. I just think the ASVAL is slightly better, especially if you play solos or duos. Trios and quads, it gets tough because it's an ammo burner. But Kepler, Microflex, or your choice of optic, of course. Here's where it's weird. It's the suppressed reinforced barrel. There is no muzzle attachment on the ASVAL because all of the barrels are suppressed. And the reinforced barrel gives us bullet velocity and damage range. Because it's an AR, I'm not purely worried about damage range. You can push it out further with the long barrel, of course, if you want. But because we're an AR that already has better damage range and bullet velocity than these SMGs, I would rather help both than focusing on one or the other. And here we went Ranger foregrip. ARs are less shaky at a distance than SMGs because SMGs don't need to shoot far, and they don't necessarily want you shooting them far because sometimes they don't drop off really fast or drop off really hard in the TTKs there. So because they're easier to shoot, we go Ranger foregrip here. If you have the G grip unlocked, you can go G grip as well. It gives you recoil stabilization, horizontal recoil, and the hip fire to ADS accuracy that I know a lot of people like. But because we're treating this kind of like an SMG role as well, with it being a sniper support and us not also having an SMG, I do want the extra sprint movement speed. And then extended mag 3, ammo burner. Extended mag 3 is only 55 rounds. You need it. Commando grip helps the sprint to fire and ADS. Makes you more in line with the SMGs. No stock for the movement. Once again, we do need to treat this more like an SMG. And then I went over pressured here because it's so easy to shoot. You can't go recoil springs if you're struggling, of course, but I went over pressured because ARs, just as you get farther out, tend to be a little easier to shoot than SMGs are. By the weapon design. Then at number 2, we have the GPR. The GPR was the best sniper support at the end of last season after the season 3.5 nerfs. And I don't think I did a sniper support for 3.5, so I definitely wanted to make sure we did it today to get this GPR on the list. Now, I don't think the GPR is necessarily as easy to shoot as the AS Val can be, so I did put recoil springs on here, but you can go the other way because the GPR is pretty easy to shoot. And we go compensator here because, once again, we're talking about an AR, and we don't need to push out that damage range and bullet velocity for sniper support like we do SMG. So we would rather just make it more of a laser beam, right? So we go compensator here. We have the Kepler Microflex, reinforced barrel. This should be Ranger. I don't know why I have vertical on there. That should be Ranger. We have extended mag 1 on here because that's 45. When you start getting extended mag 2, you lose aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. And when you're competing with SMGs, that can hurt you. So we go with 45 here, which also should be okay. 60, part of the reason you have 60 is because the farther you're shooting, the more bullets you're likely to miss. So we go extended mag 1 here. The only penalty is reload quickness, and it's still 45 rounds. Commando grip, help with that ADS and sprint to fire. Light stock is the no stock in this case. Get the extra movement speed, the strafe speed, hip fire movement speed. And then I have recoil springs here because the GPR can be a little harder to shoot than the AS Val. But if you're finding it easy, go over pressured, get that extra bullet velocity. But once again, it doesn't necessarily need it because it's an AR, and this is your competition for SMGs if this is your sniper support, right? And then 5 attachment builds. Need to go back and do the AS Val's 5 attachment because it's a little bit different because you only got to remove 2. It's fire mods and it's the no stock. I guess it's really not that different. For the GPR, you remove fire mods, stock, and rear grip. And once again, you can run iron sights if you want and remove one of these, but as we're shooting out further, I need to see better, and so I like my choice of 1x. I see some people, you'll like kill someone with 2x on a sniper support. I think that's too much, personally. And then our sniper support number 1 is the brand new FFAR. The FFAR I actually have the G grip on here. Just remember to talk about it just like I did with the LC10. Ranger foregrip or G grip. I haven't decided which one I like better for sniper support. But either one, get that extra movement speed. Although I think the FFAR's movement speed's actually pretty good. It feels pretty good. And then the G grip helps a little more recoil than the Ranger. So between the two, it's really up to you. I don't think you need to go vertical foregrip on these AR sniper supports. But other than that, that shouldn't be gain twist. That should be reinforced. Everything else is the same. And if you want to do 5 attachments, you remove fire mod, stock, and rear grip. I do have recoil springs on this one. Recoil springs and compensator makes this thing like actually 0 recoil, and it's a fucking laser. And I love the FFAR, and I actually think the FFAR is the best overall sniper support between SMGs and ARs. So just to remind you, SMG sniper supports are going Ladra, then C9, then LC10. The ARs go ASVAL or Kilo if you prefer. The GPR, and then the FFAR. So that is my sniper support loadouts. If you're just here for loadouts, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you like this type of content and want to see it first. And comment down below what you think of my loadouts, my rankings, where I got it wrong, where I'm right, wrong, smart, or dumb. But for the rest of us, we're going to go to true game data. Okay, and now we're over true game data, and you can see I do have the Ranger foregrip on the FFAR. The G grip is not on every gun right now on true game data. They're still working on that. So everything else is the loadouts we just looked at, except for that. So here we are at the TTK chart. We'll switch it to combination. Go to 50 meters here because it's not as important. And one of the things you notice is that the SMGs sure as hell don't hold up once you start getting into the mid-range. And that's why I'm like, especially with the FFAR, which is right here at the red, similar to the C9's TTK, and doesn't even drop off at 50 meters. I don't know what the drop off is. Drops off at 54. So, and you're sniping by then. So the FFAR doesn't drop off in the sniper support range before you'd be pulling out your sniper. It's got the least amount of recoil, I think, of the 3 ARs on this list. And like I've been saying constantly, ARs are easier to shoot at range than SMGs. And so once you're getting out into range, it's also easier to shoot than SMGs. You look at the LC10, the LC10's TTK is not even close. I mean, if you go right here, 525, the FFAR is 576. And that, I mean, that's nuts. So like when you're in the really close range, the FFAR is not going to win. But once you start getting out past 17 meters, the LC10, the C9, and the Ladra don't stand a chance. I mean, just look at the gap here. The C9's up to 656. The AR's on list 576, 588, and 603. 603 obviously being the closest. And that's 53 milliseconds slower, faster. So I am all for AR sniper supports over SMGs. I understand if you're running the car, you're going to be a little more aggressive with it. So you're going to want to go one of the SMGs. And then you come down here, ADS time, the FFAR also is the fastest ADS time on this list, which is nuts considering we have SMGs on this list. But the SMGs do lose ADS time because they're going monolithic to push it out. But 195 is crazy fast. The bullet velocity is the second best on this list, of course. The fire rate's 938. If you watch my video on short range, I talked about fire rate a little bit at the end, and I like between about 800 and 950. 938's right in that range, and it feels great. It's like the perfect fire rate for me personally. You look at the Ladra 1071, that's too high. Starting to get a little low with the GPR, but it's really 700 to 1,000 is the real range, but like I like 800 to 950 personally. Move speed, the FFAR is a little slow on the move speed, but it's right up there. It's right around the SMGs. It's got better move speed than the ASVAL or the LC10 in that build. It's got the same move speed as the C9 and better move speed than the Ladra. The reload time is also the fastest on this list, and it's not particularly close in the FFAR. The sprint speed is slower than the GPR and the ASVAL, but it's faster than the SMG, surprisingly, so it moves well. Sprint to fire is a little slow. You just got to play that a little different. And the not everything has attack sprint speed. I'm not sure why. But the FFAR, I think, is the best overall. It's got good movement, good reload, good sprint to fire, great TTK, great damage range. I think the FFAR is the best sniper support overall, and I do think the LC10, you look at the damage range, only the C9's beating the LC10 in damage range, and it's by 1.3 meters, but the TTK just is not close up until that point. And then you're getting into where you'd want to be using an AR sniper support. So FFAR, LC10, I think those are your two best sniper supports for those different gun classes right now. But thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment down below your thoughts. And like I said, Twitch will be linked down below. All my social medias and my single player channel will be linked down below if any of that interests you or you want to support me anywhere else. My long range and short range videos will be linked down below as well. And True Game Data, please go support Tony and the people of True Game Data. They do a lot for our community, and we need to show them our support and appreciation. But I will see you in the next video, and I will see you on Verdansk. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.